What's up, guys? Well, you know what? Lucas and I have dusted off the cobwebs. We're back, and we actually just filmed 2A. Now we're jumping to 3A in the state of Georgia, individual state tournament. And first, Lucas, it is nice to see you again.
It has been a little while, my friend, and before anyone says a word, it is state week. So you know what I had to do. If you remember me at all through my high school career, the last 3 years of my high school career, the spectacles had some tape on them. So for old time's sake, I threw some tape around them. Let's have a little fun talking about the state tournament, man.
All right. So, one thing I want to say before we get started, and that is, there's a lot of people who do a lot of work, whether, it's the coaches, the parents, this, that, everything else. The Atlanta Takedown Association does a lot of work to help the GHSA pull off this event. And there are individuals, last year, Rocky Kaufman and I jumped together to decide to bring back brackets for individuals, and I think that was a nice addition to kind of what the champions got presented. We are doing that again this year, but it doesn't kind of happen without a lot of time, effort, and money to make a lot of these things kind of happen. So we have sponsors within the state of Georgia who have stepped up to kind of help, not with the brackets, but with other things that happen in Macon. And we really appreciate them taking the time and their money and everything else. These are individuals who are linked to the wrestling community. And I'll start with Rocky's group, Maximus Management Company, who is actually in commercial real estate. And obviously, it's important for Rocky because he runs a business and he runs a business, you know, for his livelihood and everything else. But he puts his time and his energy and the company, back into helping the wrestling community. I think he does like a 10% if he works with somebody within the wrestling community, because 10% back to the wrestling community from those commercial real estate sales and things like that. And there's a lot of people like that. There's a lot of people who care a ton about the wrestling community, do a lot of work for the wrestling community, and we appreciate them stepping up. Throughout this, I'll talk on just a couple of times on a few sponsors, but make sure that you, if you see any of them in Macon, you take the time to acknowledge them, say thank you, that sort of thing. All right,
For sure.
Lucas, let's jump to 3A, and I want to start with the teams, but I'm going to be honest with you. There's some good teams in 3A. Gilmer County has 10 that they're bringing. North Hall's bringing 11 kids. West Lawrence has 10. Troop, who is in the finals, has state duels finals, has 9. But let's be honest, Jefferson is bringing all 14. They have 8 section champs. They're led by 2 of the best wrestlers in the entire state of Georgia, regardless of classification, and Roman Bellardo and Dallas Russell. Jefferson just looks like the Jefferson of old. I'm gonna just be honest, man.
Yeah, this looks like a return to form for him. This looks like this is the Jefferson that everyone had nightmares about, and it looks as if they're back.
Right. This is like Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6, as Jefferson returns.
Part 18, more like.
Part 18, yeah, because that might be the number of state titles that they have won. We'll jump to the team race, and we're probably letting you know that we're going to pick Jefferson as number 1, but it'll be interesting who you pick 2, 3, and
You
4
never
at
know.
the end. You never know. You're so full of it. All right.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, it's Jefferson.
Let's jump to 106, and probably one of the most wide open weights at 100 in 3A. I thought that Owen Etris, returning state placer who took 3rd last year, was the favorite, and then he loses a really close match to a dynamic freshman from Heritage Catoosa and Wyatt Womack. You have state placer Tyson Penson at Sandy Creek. You also have a returning state placer in Jacob Ladwick and Dontavius Perry, who was a state qualifier last year. A lot going on. There's also, I mean, if Womack's now the favorite, that's tough as a freshman walking into a new environment, man, and making who knows what's going to happen, right?
Who knows is the very correct additive here, I guess you would say. First off, as my dark horse, I'm gonna go with kind of an easy one and Taylor Thompson out of Jefferson because he ends up in fifth, but it's Jefferson coming to Macon. If anybody's gonna have their guys ready, it's going to be that staff. I'm
That's
gonna
it.
make a
And Thompson's tough.
you know, he absolutely is. And I'm gonna make a bit of an odd pick.
Okay.
I really like that boy out of Sandy Creek.
Okay.
I just do. Penson's a gamer, and he has a couple of losses on the year. Both of them are a little, but he beats Thompson 19-11. He beats Perry 16-11. He's not scared of a close match, but he's also not scared to open the scoring up. Give me Penson over Ladwig in the finals.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. I love it. All right. So let's
Shaking
move.
it up a little bit early.
Yeah, you are shaking it up. Although I will say, I do think 106 is a weight where you're not 100% sure because I look down the list and, I see an Emerson Hill from Troup County. I see
He's a stud.
a
He's a
Cohen
stud.
Kusick from Calhoun. I see some individuals, Taylor Thompson coming in, after taking fifth. Like this is a bracket that could go sideways. Who knows what's going to happen?
Oh no, absolutely. This bracket could entirely go left really quickly.
And the reason that's important for everybody to watch that's watching is that there's going to be some weights that we're going to pick that we're going to be like, I would be super shocked that if this person didn't win in 3A.
Yeah.
106 is not that. 106 is one of the weights where you're like, I just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
113 is another weight that's really interesting. Cale Moore is a returning state placer 6 last year from Oconee County. He won Section A. You got Landon Moore down there from Harlem, who was also a returning state placer. But many of the individuals who took first or second at sectionals, I think this is their first trip, as far as I know, to Macon. So how do you see 113 playing out, and how important is it to have been here and been on the podium before?
I always think that matters, and especially to a certain extent, it might not even be an age thing. It really is just a hey, have you been to Macon type of thing. Because again, I mentioned in the last one, duels not being in Macon, I think is a part here. Um, I'm gonna go with a freshman. That was my dark horse. I really like Daniel Escobar out of Gilmer, man. 32-11 on the year, has some solid wins and gave some really good guys some close matches. He got third. Don't be surprised if he takes a really similar placement out of Macon. I'm gonna Coors Bar lost to Voss in the finals, and I think that match, Voss got an early takedown, kind of shut it down. Really smart match out of him. But man, Moore out of Oconee tough. Give me Kale Moore to win it, and give me Torres Bar to be who he meets in the finals
Where's Barnes? Barnes? Yeah.
at a North Hall. Yep.
Okay. Well, and if you look through this, I think that they're in Macon. There are only like 3 or so seniors in this group. There's a lot of freshmen in this group. So again, this is another way where you're like, ooh, how does a newcomer adjust to all the things you have to adjust to on the big stage. So,
Yep.
all right, moving to 120. Your returning state runner-up is Barrett Clayton. He won Section A from Jefferson. John Adams is a returning state placer. Caden Holloway is a returning state placer. Max Maya is a returning state placer. Cade McDonald is a returning state placer. But there's an individual from North Hall, freshman by the name of Jack Proctor, who won Section B, and he's tough. And again, we've got a junior in Barrett Clayton who has been there and been in the finals before, and you've got a tough freshman. I mean,
You have a really tough freshman.
you do.
A freshman who I really want to pick to win it. But man, Barrett Clayton, state finalist, been there, done that, got the bag of chips. So for my dark horse, I'm gonna pick Caden McDonald at Chestatee, senior, state placer, ends up in fourth. That dude can go. I don't care that he ended up in fourth. He very well could make the finals. I'm gonna go safe on this one. Give me Clayton to win the state title over Proctor in the finals. But please do not be surprised if don't be surprised if Jack Proctor wins the whole thing.
Oh, I agree with you. I mean,
But like this is one of those where Jack Proctor might just win the whole thing.
I agree
And
with you 100%.
Jack Proctor is a dog. I mean, and so is his little sister, which if this means Allie Proctor is going to be a North Hall Trojan in X amount of years, very interesting for the girls. Shout out Scrappy family though. Shout out part of the Scrappy family and the Proctor family. Shout out to them.
Yeah, so I agree with you. I mean, I have a tendency to lean towards past success and it being such a huge, important kind of determinant of whether someone is going to make a run or not make a run, and the big moments and all those sorts of things. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised at all to watch Jack Proctor win the state title and become another freshman who is going to try to make a run for four.
And stylistically, his style does look right to beat Clayton. If you think about the matchup, it seems like that would be the way to beat Clayton. I just don't know if he's going to be able to execute that and make it.
All right, so let's jump to 126. Again, I think that we have a number of different state qualifiers that are returning, but I like both of the section champs here, returning state runner-up and Hunter Smith from Wright County. And then returning state placer John Darius Williams from Troop, who has looked absolutely fantastic in his run through sectional. Both have been here before, so this is not something that's new to either one of those individuals. I really think it's probably going to play out between the two of them.
I agree. Both Williams and Smith are super tough. Been there, done that. I see this going. Give me Williams of Troop over Smith. Give me Wheaton out of Mary Persons as my dark horse.
I like that pick. I like that pick as a dark horse.
That's a good pick, right? It's a good pick.
Yeah.
That's why I made it.
Yeah,
That's why I made it. It's a great
I think
pick.
that's a really good pick. This is actually when I was writing the fans guide, this was the one of the weight classes. I was like, man, do I just take out a coin and flip it? I think it's John Darius Smith or John Darius Williams, but I mean, I'll be honest with you, like Smith is Smith has been tough, and
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Both
just don't
sides.
know.
They both have been great.
I just don't know. All right, we now move to 132 pounds. And this is one of the ones where, I mean, I like Jacoby Stanley from Pickens, Rivera, Strickland. You have returning state qualifier and Andre Mills and so on and so forth. But, I mean, one of the best juniors in the seniors? Roman a senior or is Roman's a junior, right?
I believe so.
I believe so too. Best junior in the building, or one of the best ones around, Roman Bilardo, returning state champion. Um, I would be shocked if you were not picking Roman Bilardo.
I absolutely am. Roman is a dog. I'm gonna pick Stanley at Pickens to be who he meets in the finals. I like Whitley at a West Lawrence as my dark horse, but it's like you said, man, that there's a handful of guys that could really make some noise in this bracket. This is not a open and shut case by any means. I mean, in either direction. You know what I mean? Like this is a really kind of wide open situation.
Yeah, but it might be a wide open situation to who is going to get Roman Bilardo.
Yes, yeah, it's a what this Roman is a we talked about it 2A. One of the guys you place the name, you move it left.
Yeah.
You place the name, move it left. This is one of those situations.
Now, that said, it wasn't that long ago where we thought that someone was placed there and moved left, and it didn't happen. And it didn't happen not because that person failed in any way, shape, or form. They still went out and competed as hard as they absolutely could, but they were hurt. And not everybody was aware that they were as hurt as kind of what we thought they were and everything else. You could see it when they actually wrestled in the state finals. And that happens. And when that
Absolutely.
happens, you twist an ankle, your shoulder gets, hurt in some way, shape, or form. You know, there are plenty of really good wrestlers who are going to step up and try to take that away from you if they can. So, all right. 138 pounds, kind of wide open. I mean, it's wide open in terms of no real returning state people. The one returning state qualifier is Davin Lightsey of White County, senior, but there is a very talented freshman from Jefferson, Section A champion, Cruz Hazel. Is that how you say Cruz?
Zell, I believe, but
His
I'm not
last
the one to
name?
ask about name pronunciations.
Yes, well, you're right. You're right. Um, uh, both of those individuals, both Lightsey and Hazel, just looked superb on their way to their section finals. So, how do you see 138?
Now, I am gonna go Hazel here as the winner. I'm gonna pick him to meet Waddell from Upson Lee in the finals.
Okay.
I'm going back and forth here with my dark horse is where I'm going back and forth. Because I mean, there's a
Why don't
couple.
you give me both names?
Sure. So the first one is Braylon Nelson at a Gilmer,
Okay.
and then in the same side, funnily enough, Lombardo and a Cairo. Both those two have enough solid wins where I look at depending on their draw. And my thing about Lombardo is he loses in the first round, goes off White, De Losan, Hamilton, and then he beats Cougat out of Johnson by medical forfeit. He ran the gauntlet, round one, lost to third. That to me says you're not scared to go through the backside, which to me matters in Macon. So that's where I kind of go back and forth.
Yeah, I love that. It's one of the things I look for when I look at brackets is someone who loses early and then puts a little bit of a chip on their shoulder and says, you know what? I'm gonna show everybody that was not the best match that I've ever had, and I'm about to wreck everybody who's in my way. So, all right, let's jump to 144 pounds. And again, another freshman pops up as interesting to watch. It's a good weight. You got a returning state qualifier in Dominic Haynes, who won Section A. You have other state qualifiers in Mason Autry and Stephen Ramos. And I was really impressed with Stephen Ramos as well. But you do have that freshman in Xander Nielsen from Lumpkin County. This is not this isn't something that's going to be a surprise. I mean, like I mean, his brothers, wrestling for state titles, won state titles. He knows what this is all about. But it's a freshman too in the big stage. You know what I
No,
mean?
no, it is. No, and it is. And usually I would agree. Here's the thing about Xander Nielsen. He is one of Georgia's secrets to me. He's went to the U.S. Open and competed with his brother. They've traveled around to the right types of events. And if you look at his losses, I mean, they're not horrible losses. He's and it's only three losses on the year. You look through his wins and you see state placers. You see guys who have competed at a high level in Georgia for the past couple of years, and usually wins in dominant fashion. Nielsen to me is one of the best guys that I've had the opportunity to work with. I love the Nielsen family and call this a little homerism. I've never been scared to be a homer. Um, I'm going to pick Xander Nielsen to win it. Give me Haynes out of Jefferson as the runner-up. And in terms of dark horses, I really like Jordan Little at Upson Lee, but I'm going to pick as my actual dark horse. Well, am I? Yeah, I'm gonna pick Avery Jones at a North Hall senior. Been there, done that. Dude's tough. North Hall again. I always like when there's a staff that I know is gonna have their guys ready to go. North Hall is one of those storied program. Both those guys, don't be surprised if they make it high up on the podium.
All right. So before we move to 150, just a real shout out to another individual who I think does a ton of work, and that is Amber Cloy, who has taken pictures the last several years. I know Georgia Grappler grabbed some of her pictures. I do as well. I
Amber Cloy,
receive some.
the god, she's
You know,
amazing.
she opens them up to everyone, provides them to everyone. We're hoping to be able to take a ton of pictures this weekend and share those out again. And Amber is one who does so. She
Oh,
doesn't
oh,
ask me
are,
anything in return.
are our overlords allowing you guys on the floor this year?
Yes, we will be
Oh,
on the
thank God.
floor.
Oh, look at that. They gave the
And
peasants cake.
the peasant uprising has been successful. How's that?
It really hasn't. It really hasn't. Like that's the thing. It hasn't been successful.
All right, we're not going to go down the peasant
The
uprising
guillotine
path.
hasn't struck yet.
Let's move to 150 pounds. We just talked about Xander Nielsen,
I'm a
and
problem.
we now move to his brother, Nathan, returning state champion. This is a good weight. Austin Beverly, Waylon Pemberton, Devontae Saunders, Ryan Rector, all have been here before. Some have been on the podium before. Austin Beverly looked really good on his way to Section 8 title. But man, I just don't know that you pick against Nathan Nielsen.
You don't. This is again, I'll admit it. I don't care. Nate Nielsen, very good friend of mine, dude I've gotten to work with. He's one of the guys I call my little brother. Love that kid to death. Super hard worker, really dangerous from all positions. Uh, it's a tough, it's a tricky bracket to pick the runner up. Um, I'm gonna pick Saunders at Ridgeland.
Mm.
I think he gets there. And again, this is one of those we talked about in 2A. I just have some gut picks. This is one of those where it's kind of just I can't explain it. Give me Pemberton at a troop as my dark horse. And
So I want to make sure that everybody knows this because we said it in 2A, and I'm not sure we've actually said it here in 3A. And that is Lucas and I are doing this without the brackets in front of us from the state tournament because they have not been released yet. It is Sunday. We both work. So it's not as if we can be doing this all the time and dropping brackets. So a couple things. Number one, if the brackets kind of get shifted or something, that will have an impact on what we're talking about. We think we know where everybody's going to be placed, but we don't necessarily know that for a fact. And number two, there are things that happen over the next 2 days that come to light, and somebody watches this on Thursday and goes, well, how in the world did you not know that? Well, because it's being filmed on Sunday. So keep that in mind when you're watching this. We're doing our best to try to get to the large number of classifications within the state of Georgia.
Yeah, it's just one of the things where we're basically looking at a section of bracket, and I'm looking at, okay, so one will meet eight, two, but they might change because GHSA.
Well, there's a couple of different ways you can do it, and usually that, I mean, one is going to meet eight, and and that sort of thing. We
We
know those
assume
sorts
that.
of things, and twos should be opposite of their ones from the other side.
We assume that.
Question is, where do the threes fall, where the fours fall, where the fives fall, where the sixes fall, and who do they meet up with, and all those sorts of things. It's been done a couple of different ways, so keep that in mind. All right. Moving to 157 pounds. I really like Eli Pearson's run from Lafayette and B for the B section title. You got a really good wrestler in Trevor Young out of Upson Lee. Several other individuals in this group, but let's be
Honey
honest.
Badger.
Yeah, Dallas Russell is one of the best juniors in the entire state of Georgia, not just the best, one of the best juniors in 3A. He is amongst maybe some of the best juniors in the country. So,
Yeah.
so take that for what it is. I think that it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that you're going to pick Dallas Russell. How else do you see the bracket playing out?
Yeah, the rest of this bracket is pretty interesting. Top to bottom. It's so for
I'm
me,
sorry, I
the
just
way
smiled because I just got a text from someone at 2:04 that says, "Hey, you want to know? Brackets just dropped."
no, they didn't.
So it's okay. We're gonna finish up 3A. We're not going back to do it again, but
I
we'll
hate
use that
people
in the future.
so much, bruh. I hate people. Yeah, they're up. Great. So hey, so everything I just said might just be wrong. Great.
That's okay.
Point
That's
being,
okay. That's okay.
give me Dallas Russell in the finals over Burt out of Chestatee. My dark horse, asterisk needed. I really like Sean Goldsby.
I
He
do too.
injury forfeited.
Yeah, I
Out.
know.
So the hope is that he's healthy. We don't know. If he's not, then say la vie, but I'm going to pick him as my dark horse because that dude can go senior out of Luella. And obviously, with it being his, obviously, we hope for help regardless, but especially in his senior year, we're hoping that his senior year doesn't end on the iron.
All right, moving to 165 pounds. Both section champs pretty much handled their business. JT Bowers is a returning two-time state champ, I believe, out of West Lawrence. Brexton Bell is a very talented sophomore who took third last year as a freshman. Love to see new names from Jefferson that I don't know. Berardinelli, O'Keefe out of Dawson County is there as well. Boykin out of LaGrange. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it for you. I'm pretty sure you're gonna put both Bowers and Bell in the finals opposite one another. But tell me if I'm wrong.
You might be.
Oh, okay, all
Because
right. I love it.
I really like Dylan Bernardelli. I
Okay.
really like that kid. That kid can go. Um, but it'll yeah, we're gonna go with Bell in the finals uh to meet Bowers. I'm gonna go with Boykin at a Lagrange as my dark horse. But Boykin, excuse me, not Boykin.
A name to watch: Lewis Cobb the third out of Monroe.
Agreed. Oh, and I'm picking Bowers over Bell.
Okay.
But that one will be close either way.
All right. So let's move to 175 pounds. This one to me is a little oh man, I just don't even know. I mean, honestly, Parker Carlton kind of came out of, I don't want to say he came out of nowhere. I mean, super talented out of North Hall, but he's not a returning state placer. He actually lost his area final, I think, to the returning state runner-up AJ Scott, but then ends up beating him at sectionals. You got Fisher West out of Jefferson. You got a bunch of other individuals, and then you got a really, really tough Tony Bernecki out of Northwest Whitfield down there, who I think could come from way down in the bracket and surprise a lot of people. So, how do you see it?
Damn it, is how I see it. Because you know what? I'm gonna get called a homer regardless. I'm gonna pick something a little odd. First, give me Brock at East Hall as my dark horse.
Okay.
Even though I really like Burdecki and Richardson and West at a Jefferson. Give me Carlton and Scott to meet each other again in the state finals.
I think that's a good pick. It's tough.
And Scott gets the rubber match.
Ah,
These two have flipped decisions, and it just seems like it's a who has their day kind of thing, is what it feels like to me. Just kind of, hey, you got your day. And AJ Scott had his day at Regions, beat him 7-2. Then Carlton gets Scott at sectionals 8-3. So they both have won by 4 or 5 point swings. Uh, and this is a feel one for me. AJ Scott's worked his tail off. I think he gets the job done. But I think that match is a barn burner. Probably won't be as high scoring as some of the other matches we've talked about, but that match will be a blast to watch.
so I agree with you. I will say Carlton's got to be aware because he gets Bernecki in the quarters. He was losing to him 8-6 in the section quarters when he got the fall.
Agreed.
So, yeah,
If
yeah.
you're Berndecky, you're kind of sitting here like, yo, if I get this dude again, I was beating him, kind of got caught. You might be sitting pretty.
I mean, who knows, right? Who knows? All right, so let's move to 190. We got Mike Nichols from Lumpkin County, Cat Benson from Jefferson. Both are returning state placers, as is Landon Phillips of Northwest Whitfield. Pretty interesting weight. I'm going to throw out a
Yep.
name, Nicholas Sigalina from Lafayette, who I think is somebody you should keep an eye on, as well as Jaden Watkins from West Lawrence. But
Danny.
who?
Danny.
Well, I picked your dark horse.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the other one I had. It's fine.
Who did I pick? Which one was the dark horse?
Siglina.
Okay.
I thought I was super smart.
Well, you are. You agreed with me.
Fair enough.
All right. So who is your other dark horse?
I'm gonna go with Valiant at a troop. I like that kid a lot, man. I want to know if that's Jimmy Valiant's family. Um, Sidebar.
Sidebar.
I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with Benson over Nichols in the finals.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm going to. Yeah, I just want to be sure that was where my. Yeah, I think they both will get there. Cat Benson is super tough, but don't be surprised if Trump has looked really good this
I think
postseason.
I think Benson beat him at state duels, if I'm correct. Somebody will have to let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure he beat him at state duels.
I think so too.
Or no, it wasn't state duels. I don't know if it was. I don't know if he beat him there too, but he actually beat him at Minion Mania. That's where he beat him earlier in the year. All right. So
Sure. Okay, that's a okay. Shout out to you for the deep cut. All right.
sometimes, it's just the way that works. All right. Moving to 215. This is another one where, man, we've been talking about a lot of freshmen, and this is another really good freshman from Jefferson, Clifford Williford, who, if you look at some of his matches, I think a lot of his losses came like outside the state of Georgia. I mean, up at Cheesehead, up at, like different
Yeah,
places.
he didn't really lose to a lot of guys in Georgia, I noticed.
Right. Kate Hawthorne from North Hall was third last year. You have a returning state runner-up and Ramondo Craddock from Stevenson sitting there who took third. I can't remember who Craddock lost to in his section, but I'll tell you what, man, this is a fun weight. How do you see this one playing out?
I see this one playing out a little odd. I really like Hawthorne, but I also really like Sullins out of Chestatee.
Solons
And I
has looked
really
good. Yeah.
he did. And I really like Wolford at Jefferson. I think we get a Section B rematch. And I'm gonna give it to Sullins. I think we see Sullins over Hawthorne.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think Solons only has one loss on the year, right? And was
Yep,
that
and it's Hawthorne.
right? So
And give me Craddock as my dark horse. And I can already hear Monty through the ethos texting me because he heard me not pick his guy. I could hear it. I can hear the text message as we speak.
well,
I love Monty though. Everyone, by the way, if I name someone by name, because I've had someone say this to me before, it's because I love them. Like if I
unless he's saying
name
your
you,
name in a derogatory fashion.
oh yeah, unless I'm actually getting after you. Like if I'm getting after you, then you probably know. But like 9 times out of 10, if I'm saying your name, it's because I love you. And like I know that I could bring you up. Like, please no, because I actually had people say to me, like, oh, do you not like him? What you do? It's like, shut up, you dweeb, shut up.
A few others to keep in mind. Davis Richardson's a returning state placer. Hunter Baker's a returning state placer. This is a good weight. This is going to be a lot of fun to watch. 215 is a weight that you definitely should kind of focus in on. And it's quite good. Heavyweights are going to be a lot of fun to watch, but man, you have a returning state champion at Jed Johnson, and he beat a defending state champion to win his first state title last year in McGowan from Columbus. Look, I like Cooper Horn and Reese Firm, Hayden Roy, a lot of individuals in that group. I just think Jed Johnson is probably above everyone else.
Agreed. I'm gonna go with Johnson over Horton in the finals. And give me Hayden Roy out of Lumpkin to be the runner-up or the dark horse.
The dark horse. And just so everybody knows, for Lucas, a dark horse is someone who could surprise everyone, but he definitely thinks that the dark horse is going to make a run and be on the podium.
Yep.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that right there is 3A. The brackets dropped in the middle of this. I know I'm not done yet. Dropped in the middle of this. And I'm talking right now to Vamp and give Lucas a little bit of time to do his math because I know math is not his strongest.
I already got it.
Whoa.
What's this one? Easy.
I didn't know you can't account above five. How? I mean, that's why you do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I'm only picking 5 teams, brother. There's a reason I'm only picking 5. Give me Chestatee to finish 5th. Give me Troop in 4th. Give me North Hall 3rd. Give me Lumpkin to finish runner-up. And give me Jefferson to win it. I have Jefferson with like 5 champs, 6 champs, and another 3 in the finals. Like I really think this one Jefferson could very well run away with it and have it done by the end of the semis. But I do think Troop, North Hall, Lumpkin, Chestatee, like Pickens. I think that there's a good Gilmer as well if they get a couple of their dark horses. That'll be a really healthy battle. on the other side of, or not on the other side per se, but for places 2 through 5.
Very cool. Well, as we're wrapping up 3A, Jefferson obviously is an outstanding program and everything else. Um, I think the battle might be 2, 3, 4, and 5. It'll be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to two more sponsors. I said this actually, and you weren't on at the end of 2A because you had dipped out for a second. But one of the sponsors this year is Bambinelli's Pizza and Pasta.
Shout out
And
Bambies. Shout them out.
and like, I mean, are we gonna have an Italian cook-off between the De Silvas and the Bambinellis at some point in time?
Oh, you don't want that. Oh, you
Oh,
don't
I
want
do,
that.
because I want to be at the table. I want to be
He
eating.
wants to be
I
a
want to be one of the
judge.
judges.
No, I love the Bambinellis and shout out to them. They are one of my favorite. Genuinely, all jokes aside, they're one of my favorite families I've met from the sport of wrestling. They are awesome people. I loved them when I was beating up on the older brother. I and I say that because I love that dude, obviously. And Dom is obviously one of the coolest and one of the. I'm going to make a comment about Dom Bamnelli as a whole. This might be the most star-studded year in the history of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go that far. Now, my graduating class is still better, but, in terms of just star power, and it's headed up, in my opinion, by the future Mizzou Tiger Dominic Bambinelli. So shout out the Bambinellis, love them, great
I'm gonna
people.
say this in that your next NCAA champion is probably Caleb Henson again from the state
Yeah,
of Georgia. But of wrestlers that are not in college yet,
Dom's probably there.
Dom is probably number one or 1A right there with Gorman and maybe a couple other individuals who you could see being in an NCAA final.
For sure. That needs to be one of our thought experiment episodes after the season
Oh,
ends.
right, because we just want to like go ahead and stir the pot and like upset everybody, right? Yes,
It's
that's what
me.
you want to
Duh.
do. I don't like doing that, and you do. All
Oh
right.
well.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great trip to Macon, and we want to wish everyone the best of luck. And yeah, take everything we say with a grain of salt. We really actually are jumping on to just work to promote the sport as best as possible. It is not slings and arrows or whatever at anyone. It is actually much more of along our lines of trying to give a shout out and talk about some names to people who really, we want to watch you compete. We want to see you wrestle.
Nah, 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 nah. Pro wrestling and amateur wrestling is the same. If you want to have a big ego and go be mad at someone, go be mad at that wall behind me. Go argue with someone else. I don't care. I'm sorry. Like, I just don't care.
Um,
You got a problem? Y'all know where to find me. I'm not that difficult to find. I have 7 Instagrams and all of them are public. Hit my DM. Y'all know where to find me. It's really easy.
as I finish this up, I want to make sure that everybody knows that I have done a media guide for this year for 3A for all the classes. But go check it out. It'll have a ton of information in it, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun to put together. But best of luck to everybody. Lucas, I will see you later, man.
See you later, man. Peace.